So today we're going to be looking at a Claus plus Mrs. Claus team. This is actually the first time I'm battling one of these, so it's pretty interesting. They're kind of almost all fully dusted, so it's a bit intimidating, but I hope it's going to be alright. So I'm bringing a bunch of blues: Aurora, Strybog, Freya. Freya did pretty well against Mrs. Claus in my last video, but she was paired with Najar back then and not with her husband. So we can click here and see that she's going to add freeze for her passive when there's a living clause, and she's going to get a lot faster if there's a dead clause, and she's immune to freeze. So I have Theo here, and that is supposed to do the heal block for Nephra, and I have Nika for the immunity. So as I said, I have no idea if this is gonna work. I am playing around with using the blue dragon because I already have Theo for the heal block. Usually I bring the purple dragon, but I think that is maybe a bit redundant, so let's try. Okay, so well, I have a lot of blues, so obviously I want to match a lot of blue tiles. I'm also just trying to be aware that they're reds that I'm kind of curious about whether they might be a threat, so I need to keep out for red tiles as well. And let's just see. So Freya, she has a mana gain of 23, and I'm going to just cheat and use my calculator. I need 9 tiles if I'm going to charge her up when it's not her turn. So I've got 5. I could definitely do 9, so I just do this. And let's just see who's a threat. Okay, let's just try on Mrs. Claus. I think ideally I want to kill her first because her passives only, well, I mean, her passives obviously only apply when she's alive, duh. But yeah, exactly. So if she dies first, she only has the passive for when Claus is alive, but she doesn't take advantage of the passive when Claus is dead, so she doesn't get the increased speed. Whereas, sorry, did I say that in the wrong order? If she dies first, she doesn't take advantage of the dead Claus passive, but if Claus dies first, she gets to take advantage of both passives. So let's see. I actually want to match some yellows. So that I can prevent Nephra from charging and also just prevent them from healing if they decide to heal. This may be a little bit premature to fire that one, but Better safe than sorry. Especially when you don't know the enemy. Okay, I'm going to actually move this yellow over for the combo. Ah, that's interesting. So we might actually get to see her in action. Still want to get as much stun as possible. So, I mean, with Mrs. Claus dead, Claus is going to do a lot less damage because he does more damage for every ailment on the enemy. And now there's only the purple dragon to give ailments. And I think if I just carry on matching away the yellows, it's gonna be fine. The other way I would have tackled this team is basically to bring purples against Gaffodeth and Nephra here. But I decided not to because yellow and purple are kind of both, yeah, they're strong against each other, going both ways. And so it's a little bit riskier. And also the heroes I was really worried about, basically Claus and to some extent Mrs. Claus. I'm always most worried about the damage dealers because they're the ones who, in theory, are going to take out my team. I tend to bring, you could call it bait. So if I see the enemy has like red heroes, like a Sophia or something, I will bring Alexander because she's going to target Alexander whether he has taunt up or not. Maybe it's not the best example. So I could also, for yellows here, I brought Nika. So Nika doesn't have taunt on her, but the yellows are going to target her no matter what because she's the weak color or the strong color, depending on how you think about it. And that's really my favorite tactic. So this time I didn't really bring much of bait. For the reds here, they could have gone for Theo or Nika. That's kind of like a slightly off color bait, but they're both reasonably sturdy, so I wasn't too worried about them dying. For Strybog, probably would target Freya. I haven't really been paying attention. And Gafferdeath and Nephra, like I said, they would target Nika. And that basically protects my damage dealer. I only usually bring one, so it's very important to protect them, whoever they are. Okay. Finally getting some stun landing. And I'm just going to attempt to stun her to death. What's really nice about Freya is the moment that you have the first stun on her, she's going to do more damage. That's her passive, or part of her passive. Okay. I like to both kind of let the game auto target and also pick my target, just depending on what I'm curious about at the moment. So when I pick my target, like now, I can kind of see which tiles are gonna have the best affinity. And for yellow against yellow, it's kind of like nothing has a good affinity, but now for blues, you kind of see it a bit more. Purple is good, obviously. But sometimes I also like to let it auto target, because the game auto targets the weakest hero that is related to the color affinity as well, of course. I'm gonna do Strybog now, because I wouldn't be able to get any more ailments on Nephra. She has 10, so she's full. Oh, let's do this so that we charge her a bit more. Yeah, so sometimes if it's not clear who's the weakest hero on the enemy team, I like to do the auto target so that it kind of tells me who is the weakest link, basically. Anyway, so that was fun. Actually not as difficult as I thought. And hope you had fun seeing Mr. and Mrs Claus in action. See you next time.